Hello, I am Vicki Butler-Henderson, and this is the Refuel podcast with Historics Auctions. Welcome along. In this episode, we are going to be discussing the worst classic car of all time and the classic car we would buy right now, right here, today, and more.
Buying or selling a classic car? Head to historics.co.uk or click below for a free valuation.
Hello and welcome then to the latest Refuel podcast with Historics Auctioneers. I am joined by auctioneer expert Mathew Priddy.
Good morning.
And YouTube expert
Sensation.
and car fan sensation Tom Exton.
All of what you said. Yep, that. Hello, everyone.
How can people see us and help enable us to do more podcasts like this?
So if you are watching us, of course, on YouTube, please do like, subscribe, press the bell icon and all that jazz. We've had some fantastic success recently, so you must follow us to make sure you keep up to date.
Ooh!
Bit cocky. Also, we've got Instagram as well. So all of the cars going into the next auction will be on the Instagram feed ahead of the beautiful catalogue, which is sent out to people that choose to receive it. Is that not true?
It is beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's got a nice matte finish, isn't it? It's very premium. I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm getting carried away about that.
Quite right too. Okay, so in this episode we will be talking about the worst classic car ever, the worst cars we've ever driven, the classic cars that we would buy today, and a new game of Automotive Alphabet which you can take part in at home, on your dog walk, in your car, wherever you are listening to this. So first of all, topic number one, the worst classic cars ever. Mr. Priddy.
Worst ever cars produced. I mean, this is a difficult one for me to say, just in case someone offers me one for the next auction.
You're going to have to do a political answer.
Yeah.
But what makes the worst car? Do we think it's going to be rust? Is it that it's going to be poor to drive?
It's that. So if you're thinking about the general worst car, that's probably down to how it was manufactured, which then brings a lot of the British cars of the
Doesn't it
60s and 70s in. But also, if you look at, say, some of the Italian cars, which are beautiful, but that if it's a slightly cloudy day, start to rust away. I mean, the beautiful old, Fulvias and things like that, which, you could pick one up, you think it's wonderful, and then halfway home, it just folds in half. So,
but you can count Maserati, Fiat, Alfa. I'm afraid all Italian cars can go under that category.
Some of the worst cars are the more modern cars. I think once you start getting into chasing electrics, and then you're thinking, oh, what is the point in this? It just needs to be burnt. I'm trying to think now of what exactly we could think. I mean, it's sort of, as you say about some of those Maseratis, the 4200s and things, beautiful engine. Just take the engine out, throw the rest of the car away. It's just the engine. The rest of it was just terribly made. It should have just stayed
Furious
in the Ferrari.
Maserati owners in the comments now.
But then
All
they're
three of
supposed to
them.
be an older car, and it probably because my mum had like an Austin Allegro or something like
Yes,
that. I mean,
yeah.
why in beige? Go on, do that. That shouldn't exist.
Yeah. Could I put Morris Marina into that category as well?
Oh,
Although they sold over 1 million of them.
And
Where are they all?
exactly. They must be so bad.
exactly.
Where are they?
Landfill.
Yeah.
That's what they are.
Yeah. But that was the sort of the budget equivalent to a Ford Escort.
Yeah.
So I like what they've tried to do, but
I mean, when the Ford Escort was the working man's car, to go budget from that, you're thinking, okay, you're pushing it then, aren't you?
Yeah.
Where are you saving? So, go on. What about yourself?
well, I think I might have to put in a Rover 100 in that, which was sort of like a modernish Metro. I just look at that and just think, no, thank you.
Oh, there's a car,
No, thank you.
Metros. Oh,
Well, I had an MG Metro,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm going to have to stick up for that. But which is why I feel that I'm standing on good authority to diss the next one along, the Rover 100.
I'm sure they'll come out well in the comments. With Rover fans, MG fans.
Also, can I put in quite a lot of Vauxhalls as well? Am I
You're
allowed
going to need
put-
to be a bit more specific, I think, on that one.
Okay, where do I begin?
Just 3 will do.
I've got a small list.
It's
The
huge.
Nova.
Oh, but come on, the Nova SR. That was my youth.
Yep, that's in the bin.
Damn it.
The most of the Astras, and I'm going to pop in some Corsas as well.
See,
just because of the driver involvement was just
I had
lacking.
a Vauxhall Corsa GSI when I was really young. It cost me a
Wow.
fortune.
Spicy.
It was great in a straight line. It handled like a banana. It was. I don't know how where there was the dynamics in that.
Yeah.
And they put a 1.6 litre engine in the GSI. Lovely body kit. Looked cool. I probably didn't. I remember the registrator had PRA on the end, and my dad, whenever I wasn't looking, would always stick black T on the end, and I drive around without realising that I've got Pratt on the end of
It's
my
illegal,
mate.
actually.
Well, they should tell my father that.
So
Yeah. But that you have beautifully highlighted the case for me. What I think is a bad classic car is something that doesn't handle.
Not
because
at all.
cars are supposed to be driven and engage you.
And a hot hatch should be perfect at that. Because
Yeah.
it's supposed to be small, light, agile. That was terrible. Yeah, I'll give you that. Even though I loved my little Corsa, I'll have to concede.
Okay, cool. Tom?
I think generically, just that three-wheeler thing that was in Only Fools and Horses, I just don't think
Reliant
that should
Robin?
ever be. I know it's iconic and people will be all nostalgic about them, but it just doesn't seem like a very good idea.
See,
Someone that's never even sat in one, I'm just slagging it off from a distance.
I've pitched the idea of the three of us in Reliant Robins for the next Throttling Classics. Do you not think that will stick?
Just what are we going to do? Run on each little tyre each?
Just see which one can turn it quicker.
Turn it over.
Yeah, exactly.
I might have to change my insurance policy or something like personal insurance or something, because they just go on their roof, don't they? From what I've seen online.
If you drive it in a certain way,
Yeah.
it has the ability to flip, as do all cars.
I know,
Four
but
wheels or six.
I thought you're closer to being on the roof than any other car. Anyway, I'm going to chuck those in. And I'm also going to chuck in one of my own cars, actually, at the moment. I bought a 1966 Porsche 912, and it's been the bane of my existence for about 4 years now. We're coming to the end of it, what I think is going to be the end of it, but it's just been constant expense, constant hassle, and I'm over it.
That's
So-
danger. You're purposing a Porsche in the worst classic car ever. You can imagine the Porsche fanboys here really.
I love the car, and when it's done, I'm going to change my opinion on it. But for now, it's ruined my life for 4 years.
What's been the biggest bugbear?
Just rust everywhere. It was a European car, so it's just rust, absolutely. Even in places I didn't even know was a part, that's rusted and gone. I've had to replace it. But I think it does highlight the value in coming to an auction and buying something that's been completely done. Because it's not just the expense in doing it, but it's been off the road for 4 years. I haven't been able to enjoy it for 4 years. So at the moment, it's one of the worst classic cars of all time in my head. But it's going to paint soon, and then it'll be out. And I might bring it to the next video.
Okay.
If it makes it here. Yeah.
You can arrive for the Reliant Robin feature.
Yeah. I
Maybe
just
not.
thought of another one, a Suzuki Vitara. I'd put that
Oh
on.
no, my mum
The
and dad had one of
original
those.
Suzuki.
No, I'm not
That's
having that.
going
With
in.
a soft top, with the wide arches. I'm not having that.
Suzuki Vitara.
You're
Yeah.
going against you. These are the
Absolute
roots. I
chaps.
can imagine you in a white Suzuki Vitara, big wheels.
You can imagine me in that.
Yes, even now.
Did it
I
have
think
the little
now.
rhino on the back wheel?
On the school run.
the
Imagine
rhino
that.
on the
Rhino
wheel.
the back wheel, perfect. How can you say that's an icon?
Vauxhall Frontera.
Oh, yeah.
While we're in that
Yeah, no,
category.
get rid of that.
That's
Okay,
terrible.
we'll
yeah.
pop that. We'll,
A
you can
real
have the
problem. What have
Suzuki back.
Vauxhall done to you? You've got a real problem with them today.
Yes.
Have you been cut up on the way here?
Did they turn you down for a brief?
There was a time in my life, and it still exists today, where I refuse to have a Vauxhall as a hire car because
Really?
I want to enjoy my life. But there are exceptions, and we will come on to those a little later on.
There is
Actually, quite soon.
Yeah.
So, topic number 2, which is what classic cars would we buy today? So we're coming to you ahead of the Historics May auction at the Farnborough Exhibition Centre. It's a new venue for us this year. And under the roof, we have got a Vauxhall, which I would buy out of all the other cars here today.
Shock horror.
Yes. A Vauxhall Lotus Carlton. Oh, yeah. 177 miles an hour. It was the fastest 4-door saloon in the world when it was launched. 3.6 litre straight 6 twin turbo, 6-speed manual gearbox, and not quite 400 brake horsepower. Hubba hubba.
But it's the car that every kid wanted their dad to buy,
Yep.
Or mum.
and they couldn't. They never did. Very few people could because they were extortionately
rare.
expensive. And of course, they were theoretically for going back and forth to work. Who could afford that? Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Do you think that would be a good investment? Have I picked well?
I think so. Yeah, I mean they're iconic. They're the right age at the sort of for appreciating values at the moment. I think they're fantastic. And as you say, how many are in good condition at sensible
I haven't
mileage?
seen one in years. What do they run to? What's the estimate? What is a good price for one of those?
Well, we sold one last year over £100,000 with
Wow.
low mileage, but there's very few with low mileage for obvious reasons. They weren't cars that did small journeys; they were cars that would charge up and down motorways. So I think anything sort of 100,000 miles is probably circa between £50,000 and £60,000, I guess.
Wow.
But dependent again on condition. They're Vauxhalls, and they've been looked after well. And most people probably didn't for the last 10 years until they started realising that they are an appreciating classic.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're not cheap, but I think
Can I have
there's
a
a
little
hell of
bid,
a lot of
Vicky?
engineering.
You get your. You can't.
I can't know. So I'm obviously
You have to get someone to
an
bid for
auctioneer
you.
with the gavel.
Yeah, otherwise you'd be cheating.
Can you
Yes.
get someone to bid for you on your behalf, or is that still cheating?
I don't know. Could I? No, I can leave a commission, and then they can work up to the commission.
I see.
So I could do that. And the perfect family car.
No excuse then.
No.
Get it done.
Mummy has fun at the steering wheel of a Vauxhall. Shock horror. Kiddywinks all enjoy the space and the luxury in the back.
Luxury, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolute
I've
luxury
been a
back there.
passenger in the car with you. I'm not sure the Kiddywinks quite enjoy it as much as you think they may be.
Yes. Thank you.
Mummy, I can't see my iPad. You're driving too fast.
What's tickled your fancy then? What would you buy today?
I'm going to go boring, but it's something that no one can argue with. 458 Italia coupe. I think they're brilliant. I think they're not quite classic status yet. They're in that kind of awkward middle ground where they're not yet a classic, and I think they're pretty good value for what they are. I think they're going to be residually very good news, and I think they represent kind of almost peak Ferrari, Pininfarina, that V8. I just think they're fantastic. So not quite a classic, so not really answered your question there, but I would go for the 458, I think.
No, I think you're absolutely right. What kind of money would a 458?
Do you know what? Tom probably knows better than me on that one. What were we sort of talking about for 458s?
130 to 150 for a coupe. 150 obviously up at the kind of low miles end. But yeah, I think they're stonking value really, and that was obviously the last NA kind of sports car they've done.
Yeah.
And their last kind of collab in that sphere with Pininfarina. So I think they represent a very, very good place to be. And actually, they're really reliable. You speak to any service centres, they say up to about 60,000 miles, all they do is just replace fluids. There's no hardware needing changing, nothing there, and they don't really go bang. You make them go bang, you've done well, basically. So, yeah.
And I have to say, it's one of the best cars I have ever driven. And I went on the launch of the 458 Spider, and it almost brought me to tears because it was. I had such an emotional connection with that car. It was almost perfect. It was
Really?
wonderful. Yeah.
Blimey.
It was
I had
really
one
good.
for a brief time, a Spider, before I had to let it go, had to catch and release. But yeah, it's all
great.
things to everyone. So even the coupe, I think the coupe looks slightly better, but obviously with the Spider you can drop the window at the back, but you do get roof issues where there's a little bit of rattle and flex and whatever people moan about. So yeah, 458.
Yeah. Good.
Or the
good one.
SLS, but we'll get onto that.
Okay. Have you put your 2 pennies worth in?
I keep looking at. I mean, you've had one recently, haven't you? I still think the money's good in Testarossas. I just think there's a way to go on that, and I just quite like them that they're not. Well,
You don't
I
have
think you
yours
went
at all.
early. I think you went early.
No, I got in and got out. I did okay, but I didn't like driving it. I think as an art piece, if I had like a display garage like built into my house somewhere, I would still have it.
See,
It's absolutely beautiful.
I quite like that sort of slightly more robust. It's certainly not.
It's a bit more of a cruiser, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's certainly not sort of pin sharp and
No.
light and track agile.
It's not a thoroughbred horse, is it?
No, it's more of a like whack power.
Kind of just sort of lying on the floor and sort of just
that's
click-clacking around.
typical of a
Sort
lot of cars of
like,
that
it's
era, though,
not-
isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like you don't get in, you have to lay in, don't you? The other ones, there's a couple of great little Porsches in it. There's a Porsche Cayman R. That's a rare. little-
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a rare car.
Yeah.
I've never driven one. Have you?
Yeah.
No,
No.
no.
Have you driven one?
No.
What?
I know.
Have you driven one?
Only briefly, not
Okay,
enough though
well,
to
yeah,
really
you
enjoy it.
still
Because
had-
the idea is it obviously all lightened, which always makes me laugh. Because like all Porsches, you buy it completely lightened, you pay more money for that, and then they go, "So what options do you want to put back in?"
Yeah.
For more
I'll
money.
have a heavy this and a
So they
really
put all the
leaden
stuff back
that.
in. Hang on, I mean, you've almost spec'd the standard model, which was 30,000. What's But that's a really rare car. I think it's a great car.
Yeah.
And there's a Spider as well. The later 918 Spider. Yeah, they're really cool. I do like that. I think that's a great investment as well.
great car.
But there's loads. Actually, I've walked around earlier. There's lots I'd spend money on if I had it. But I just feel like it's the sort of era that's up and coming that I'd put my money into at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's where I think sort of things like Testarossas, I think have still had a
got
little
money
bit of money to go.
Not
Yeah.
that far.
It's a lot closer, I think, they're appreciating than the 458, which you'd probably have to hold.
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
bit of
458,
time.
I
But
mean,
you'll
I
enjoy it a bit more, I suppose.
I
In the
won't live that
meantime,
long, I don't think. So yeah, to see that, I appreciate. But at
not
least
if you keep telling Porsches they're the worst in the world. I mean, you're hoping your 912 is going to be absolutely brilliant at the end of it.
Hopefully, no one watches this. No one from Porsche.
Should we move on to our next topic?
Go for it. Yeah.
Happy with that? So it is the worst cars we've ever driven.
Oh, we could
That
be.
we've actually got behind the wheel of.
You know, I work for an auction house. This could be a long segment.
I knew. Should I go first?
You go first.
I'm going to say something quite controversial, and it's not. I mean, it's not a classic in the old-fashioned classic term of the word classic car. It is 2021 Aston Martin DBS Superleggera.
Oh, really? So that one didn't bring tears to your eye. Why is that?
I know.
There's one there.
Yeah. So hopefully the new owner of this Superleggera will have a lovely time. But it was the worst. I have circumstances. I can paint the picture.
I'm horrified, Vicky.
Yeah, I will.
I'm actually horrified.
Come on.
Let me put that chin of yours off the floor
Please
and
do.
back into place. So
Which one?
Just to put it. So we've got a V12 engine, we've got 2 turbochargers, 725 horsepower, over 200 miles an hour, and £225,000. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
An amazing bit of kit.
And
But
looks great.
There is, for me, a massive disconnection between the engine and then what's going on underneath me.
This is a driver thing.
It's purely a driver thing. It was mental and manic and phenomenal, but I was also testing it against an 812 superfast Ferrari, which was, by comparison, pin sharp, totally intuitive to what I was asking for it. So the poor old Superleggera did have a tough time on that particular day. And that is why I hope I have explained a little bit more.
You've nearly
about
got
why
away with
I'm-
it there.
Okay.
No, I do get it. I have driven both, and I do totally get that. I felt the DBS. I felt it was quite boosty, and I was kind of just along for the ride. I didn't really know what was going on. Once it started boosting, it was rapid. It's faster mid-range than the 812. So once it gets going, you are basically just along for the ride, and it's not very communicative. I can't really say that word.
You said that beautifully.
Thank you. So no, I do get it. But in terms of the worst car you've ever driven, I mean, that is that's aggressive.
Well, I have high standards, darling.
I think Vicky's
I have
got a
high
thing
standards.
between Vauxhall and Aston Martin. It's just slamming them out today. Just
You've been
smash.
cut up on the way here by a Vauxhall driver and Aston Martin
Yeah.
driver. Something's
But
happened.
I am usually
Vicky ruins the car market.
No, I love what Aston Martin does always, but in that
But not that
particular
one.
context, when I was comparing it with absolute like for like, it was.
I would add that it doesn't sound very good either. Can I add that in?
You
Now
can
I'm
add
joining.
that
Now
the
you're on
abuse.
it as well. Now everyone's
Look
on
what
it.
you've done.
But I have to say, we did an audible hearing test
Right.
of the cars, both cars, the Ferrari and the Aston Martin, and people went and stood next to their favourite sound, Aston one.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that on
Yeah.
a revving or was it going put? Because often sometimes revving cars.
It was on revving and a bit of putt.
People
just
like
had a
the
different-
putt. People like
But
that.
Ferrari, I find it's always better once you're up at the top end of the rev range. That's when it comes
Under
to life.
load, they sound
doesn't-
best.
Under load, yeah.
Whereas
Anyway, but it was a like for like test. And
I do
people
like
of
the Superleggera.
France-
I do like it.
Yeah.
I would have one.
Yeah.
God. Anyway, now you've absolutely destroyed that. Whose turn's next?
Right.
I have not.
Well, yeah. Don't bother bidding on anything because we've slagged everything off.
Yeah. Vicky won't have another gig with Aston Martin ever again.
I think I'm fine.
Don't
as well.
say that. I love Aston Martin. I love Aston Martin. It's just that particular car had issues for me.
Okay, right. So, shall I go next? Okay, so I've got a couple of stories about worst cars I've ever had and driven, and actually most of them I've owned, which says a lot about my buying ability.
Literally put your money where your mouth
I
is.
know. Well, so years and years ago, and they've become friends. Actually, I bought an SL280 R107, so the sort of Dallas style they call it. I bought it on a real quick whim. I said, "No, I'll buy that," and he was like, "You sure? You haven't seen it? You haven't seen it?" And he was, very honest about it. I said, "No, I'll buy it." I said, "I've stood by my word. I put it on eBay. I think I've put my bid in. I'm grown up. I'm going to go and buy it." I've never known someone to try and talk you out of a car as much. No, this isn't for you. This really isn't for you. You sure? No. I've said I'll buy it now. I'll buy it. So off I trot. It's getting dusky somewhere near Hounslow, I think it was. The lights are barely dim. They're like a 1920s, candle, and the things. It was terrible. It was over revving. It was the gearbox didn't want to go in. When I got it home the next day, it was rust everywhere. Incidentally, that spawned a not love affair, but I must have owned 12 or 13 in about a 3-year period where I just learnt so much on that car that I was buying them and then I was fettling them and selling them for small amounts of profit, which ended up from a deposit from my house. So it was a sort of lucky story, but my word, was that car a dog. Hopefully no one knows who bought it, but maybe it was a nice car by the time I'd finished with it. But oh my God, the fright bringing it home is not good. And actually I quite like an R107. They're sort of all things for classic cars. They are reliable, they're old, but they can be driven on the motorway. They're quite cool.
Creeping up as well.
Yeah, I've got some stories in those. But anyways, the other one was a car I got married in. I went out and bought a Jaguar Mark II.
Most people just hire their.
I know, but I thought I'm hiring them. It's all a bit cliche. So I thought I'll buy a Jaguar Mark II, and we'll go. Like the boys will go for a drink in the morning before the wedding event. Unfortunately, I picked the worst Mark II Jag to buy. 2.4 automatic. Ooh, yeah, exactly.
slow.
That noise says everything. And then when 4 lads are in it, going, anywhere in the morning, the moment you get towards a hill, you may as well be in a Fiat 500.
Oh.
That was a dog of a car as well.
Did it get you there?
No, the best part, it broke down.
Oh, perfect.
We got back to the venue. We all got ready, get your stuff on all ready. And then the idea was, my father-in-law was supposed to drive Emma, my wife, round to the sort of front, and then she'd get out and get in. No, nothing. It was all a bit of fun. They couldn't start it. So we've got wedding pictures of my dad, my uncle, father-in-law pushing the Mark II with Emma stood there like this. It's got some great photos. So yeah, those are the 2 of my favourite terrible cars that I've bought and owned and driven over the years.
Brilliant. Love that.
Tom?
I would go with some nonsense I've had over the years as well. I'm going to really upset people now. I had a 2016 Defender, one of the worst things I've ever driven.
Because?
Just drove like a van, but not even as nice.
That's because you weren't in a field where it should be.
Yeah, I mean, it was on the A3, but still didn't get anything out of that. Agricultural, yeah. Around town is horrible. The gear stick felt like it was bending when you're putting it in gear.
Yeah.
It was
the ergonomics aren't perfect.
It was hell on toast, that thing. And then also a car I currently have. I have a Brabus 4x4 squared monster truck thingy. That's comfortably the worst thing I've ever driven. It genuinely is appalling, but it's so bad that I just drive around crying with laughter.
Yeah.
Because it's just hilarious, but it's awful. By every single metric, it is completely useless. In fact, you can't really go anywhere, do anything.
It's useless for anyone that isn't on YouTube, basically, isn't it? Because
it doesn't even work on YouTube. My audience don't even care about it. So really, at this point, I'm just buying it. I'm just driving it to laugh around. But you drive along doing that with the steering wheel, and if the passenger had their eyes shut, they wouldn't know you were doing it.
Yeah.
It's not really
Your
connected.
Corrections,
Nothing
continuous
goes on.
corrections.
So that's
you could spend a day in the life of my ride. That's most cars all the time. Yeah, there's nothing happening here.
It's a characteristic.
Are there any brakes? But yeah. Oh, the other one I had, last one. Sorry, I'm monopolising this one. Apart from the fact that you've ripped Aston Martin a new one.
I'm so haven't. I love Aston
MG. We can title this entire podcast.
No,
Vicky hates Aston Martin.
How can you say that when I've dissed more Vauxhalls? I've done one Aston.
Vauxhall isn't as fun.
It's not as good clickbait, is it?
No.
I don't want clickbait. I don't want clickbait.
The final one, and this was one of the first things I ever did when I was working in classic cars. I was asked to move an MGTD, I think it was, or a TF. I had to just take it to the storage facility. It wasn't far. Jumped in, gainfully turned it on. Well, that's handy. It's all working. Got going. Got out onto the main road. Fast discovered that brakes were optional and weren't obviously ticked when this was purchased. Oh. It was like getting 2 blocks of wood put together and hoping it would stop. And the panic. I had cramp in my leg for the rest of the day, panicking about it. Halfway through, you realise then and learnt a lot about driving classic cars in that you've just got to look so far in front of you.
Yeah.
Using the gear shifts but my word, those brakes were... I mean, I think they're more frightening than having no brakes. Because at no brakes, you just bail off and say, right, that's it, I'm not driving this. I ended up driving it a good 12, 13 miles the whole way, panicking about who's going to hit me, I'm going to hit them. Yeah. No seatbelts, just metal all around you.
I've had brakes go on a racing car before, but that's on a circuit when you've got something half decent to...
So scary speeds,
hit,
but yeah.
To absorb the crash and nothing oncoming. Wow. Oh, poor you, that's not nice.
Yeah, so there you go.
The tales that we have to tell. Anyone up for some sort of quiz?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, we're good at those.
Okay,
yeah, we're really good at them.
So this is new. I'm calling it Automotive Alphabet. So new I could hardly remember what I'd called it.
Automotive
Alphabet. So you can play along at home with this one. I have got a bell. So hopefully you know your alphabets.
Oh, yeah.
Matthew, you're going to start with the letter A.
Yeah.
You're going to go with the letter B, C, D. And you are going to say anything to do with cars, with automobiles. And you have, after 3 seconds, if you stall for 3 seconds, you get a bell. And I will be noting how many bells you've got. Okay. Everyone happy?
I'm already thinking of it in my head. How terrible is that? It's like cheating, isn't it? Oh, hang on.
Just anything to do with cars?
Anything. But I can be the judge.
All right.
Let's go. 3, 2, 1, Matthew.
Bath.
Brakes.
Corvette.
Car.
Engine.
Where's D?
Oh.
I think the prerequisite to this...
I didn't think that would be the difficult part of this.
I think that's like a kind of an assumed prerequisite that we know the alphabet.
And then suddenly we lost.
I hadn't got one though, so I'm so pleased. I was going to go with dinosaur.
Would you like to start with E? Let's go. E.
Engine.
F. Ferrari. Just
Okay.
saying.
Oh, okay. So we were
G.
Gearbox.
Honda,
Injection.
Jeep,
Sod it.
Kill switch. I don't know.
Koenigsegg,
Koenigsegg.
yes.
Koenigsegg,
yeah.
that's topical. I like that. Yeah. Good.
JKL.
Lamborghini,
Mercedes.
Nissan,
Opel.
Peugeot,
I don't know what comes after P.
Q.
Do you have to think about it?
Qashqai,
I'm out again.
Oh, and OPQR.
Renault,
Seat.
Talbot,
U.
I'm just trying to think of the letter.
What could we?
ULEZ.
ULEZ.
That's topical car
interesting,
related, yeah.
Automobile related, yeah.
Realize, yeah. Whole podcast on
And
that.
OPQRSTUV.
I'm glad I'm not the only one having to do that.
But I'm trying to do it and it's too slow. I don't know.
VX220.
I would have gone Volvo. It's a nice easy one.
Oh yeah, true.
Wasting time, W. Too late. W, you can take out W.
Of W. Wolseley.
Isn't that a hotel? Isn't it?
Although, do you know what? Because that amused me, I won't give you a mark for that.
Are you actually scoring them down?
Of course I am.
Oh, God,
WX. You're on X now. Go for it.
X-Trail.
Yeti. Skoda Yeti.
Isn't it V again? V.
Oh, is it?
Yeti. Yeti. Yeti.
But what letters now?
Oh, yeah.
Y.
And
V.
OPQRSTUVWXY. Z. Yeah, no, you're right. Z. Time wasting.
I would have said zebra anyway. So.
Zebra. Well, how does zebra relate to a car?
It doesn't. It's just zebra.
Sweet. Cool. Is there a Z for a car?
Zonda.
Oh, yeah. Pagani
I'm good. I'm just good at the car thing.
You're
I'm not
good.
very good at the alphabet part.
Would you like to know the
Tough.
scores on the doors?
Oh, go on. Tom
Okay.
hates quizzes.
In. Yeah, but
Well,
it
you can
wasn't-
see why.
It was nothing about the 1980s this time, so you
Yeah, no
Literally just the
excuses.
alphabet.
just the alphabet. Tom, you had a poor score of 5.
All right.
Matthew 2, so you're the winner. How did you get on at home? Let us know.
Oh, I'm going to have the kids play this.
Yet more evidence of why I make YouTube videos for a living.
That's all we have got time for today. Thank you so much for listening, watching, joining in wherever you are. And we would love to see you at some of the historics auctions that are coming up throughout the year. We have got 3 more left.
3 more to go.
Yes,
Next
lovely.
one is at Windsor in July. We will be consigning cars at the point this is coming out, so please do get in touch if you would like a free, no obligation valuation. Contact the team and we'll come out, see your car.
We say I won't be coming out, so don't worry. Won't be coming anywhere near your car, don't panic. Make sure you're subscribed and following whatever the option is on various social media platforms. Make sure you're doing it wherever you're watching this, because I understand there are a load of options these days, so make sure you are in the mix for the next one, and hopefully I will do better in the next quiz and not embarrass myself. Or I might have been fired by then, who knows.
As might I. Thank you so much for watching, listening. Until next time.
Bye-bye.